I send the $1 million to character 2 and go on to server C, and I sell the mega axe again for $1 million. And now character 2 has $2 million, and then you just... No, we're reinventing crypto. God, no. I'm gonna miss the loop again. Fuck. Oh god, oh no, it's over. Oh, my one chance to be cool. And it's over. Hello, hi computer, hello. Yeah, so we went to Oft Kai. We were over here, we went to this thing. So you meet someone named Kai. Yeah, we actually met secret Colonq head, well-known secret Colonq head, Kai Sinat. The overriding emotion from this whole thing is we need to cook. We need to cook fucking now. I thought this whole thing was going to take the wind out of my sails, but I was feeling like, I don't know, there's a fire in me now, computer. I need to stop fucking, I need to go home. We need to organize shit. We need to get things in order. We need to sort out our home, I think. It actually fixed me. It actually fixed me to go outside and interact with another human being for once. I really feel so fucking motivated right now. I'm feeling this strongly. Also, thank you all for not... This is what it means by cooking. Hello, BRC Del. This is the meaning of cookery. We have been talking about doing things for so long, and then I just don't do them because I find, you know, for good reasons sometimes, I find other things to do. There are distractions. It's time to fucking do things. Instead of being like, oh, that's cool, let's put that off and do this other thing that is also, like, let's fucking do things. This is the essence of LCOLONQ season 2.y. This is the dot. To do things. What are the big things? We should make a mud. We should, honestly, mud would go. How long does it take to make a mud anyway? I think a lot of people who make muds, they make them on the old existing mud tools. It's Deku mud. It's Deku. There really is not like a super thriving mud scene these days. There's like that one company. I'll bet you there's a mud. There is a little bit Bogan Bits. I've looked for this though, right? I have spent an inordinate amount of time looking for an active mud to play, and I have not found anything that was satisfactory. There are some existing roleplay community mud. I want a mud that's very gameplay focused, LG, and I want a mud that like does something cool, basically. I feel like a lot of muds are just like, they're either a pure nostalgia trap or they're, sorry grandpa, we don't do E-Sex in Second Life anymore. We have Final Fantasy. I can do the push-up emote next to someone else doing the lie-down emote. That's an org file. We'll reference that. That's the MMO game jam. Basically, if you recall, we made a game last time during the 20-hour stream that we still need to interrogate the meaning of. We will not be doing that ever. No, we will not be doing that ever again. It was too long. I was too sleepy. By the end, I was like, oh god, I don't even know how to talk anymore. The first half, I feel kind of banger. We made some cool shit. It was fun to game. I like the Dark Souls gaming session. Yeah, that was pretty sick. I might edit that down. It was cool. Also, the fruits of our labors. If you have Nix, if you're a Nix enjoyer, you can type Nix run GitHub LCOLONQ/Electron now, and it'll take a second. It may take a minute even, and you can get the game. You can get the game. It just runs. It just fucking works. It just fucking works with everything involved. It's kind of dope. We did a game jam on Sunday, and we're currently playing some of the entries. MMO. We're typing MMO ssh.badcop.game. Everyone, if you're a gamer, if you know SSH, if you got that, get on here. MMO map jam. Wait, wait. We should do a jam where everyone makes an MMO. Wait. Okay. Wait. We gotta cook. We gotta cook briefly. Brief cooking. MMOjam.org. Cook. This is called the blockchain. We're gonna be using the most powerful blockchain, which is called Git. Git is the most powerful blockchain. That's what we're gonna be doing. It's gonna be Git. We're gonna be going Merkle tree style serious mode on this. This is called decentralized MMO. You know how when you play Terraria, one of the best things about Terraria is that you can take your guy and you can play single player, or you can go to different servers. Your guy goes to the different servers and your guy still has, it's still your guy. It has all of your stuff. Decentraland. You can make all your moves into commit. Well, what you do is you make every sesh into a commit. Okay, here's the idea. State is saved in Git. When you connect to server, your server gets your repository. Because the problem with Terraria, it makes it very easy to cheat. And MMO, even the possibility of cheating, obviously we could all be like, oh, we just won't cheat. We just won't hack our character. We just won't make our character stronger than it's supposed to be. We won't just spawn in free stuff by editing the save file. It doesn't work. You're always tempted to do it. It feels like the stakes are low. Part of the fun of MMOs is that there are kind of real stakes. If you get
a bunch of gold, that actually does give you something. So when you connect to the server gets your repo. When you disconnect from server, it commits to your repo. That commit is signed with server key. Servers have trust lists of other server public keys. You see this? You see what I'm cooking? Or maybe it makes sense that head is simply not progress for you. If you disconnect, your stream of signed state transitions ends. I feel like when you disconnect, it should sign, because then the idea is you can go on another server. And if that server trusts the server you are playing on, it's all good. You get to pick up, your character has all your same attributes. When you log off is sort of natural, but like obviously getting disconnected kind of sucks. So maybe this happens incrementally over time as well. There's like auto saves. You can connect to just continually having signed state transitions. So outages or logging off is simply, yeah, that's the better way to do it. We basically continuously over time, whenever state changes or every few state changes batch. But the important thing is you control the state. So can't you? Yes, you can. The interesting thing about this is you can still go back in time. I don't know if you can get around that, but you can definitely design an interesting way such that it doesn't help you to go back in time. How does this help with botting? It does not help with botting at all, probably. Here's my other take on botting. You should either design your way such that botting doesn't give an advantage, or just allow it and assume people are going to do it and make it easier. If your game is designed in such a way that botting gives an advantage, you should either not design your game that way, or you should build the botting into the game. That's my freak take. I'm sorry. That's what I think. Bot first game design. It's sort of nice if you can go back in time though, because that means if you play on a server and that server is just like crazy, they're just handing out the loot. It's a Monty Hall is what they would say in old D&D. And then other servers see that and are like, hey, we don't like that. We don't like that thing. We don't want to we don't want to trust this server anymore. Then you only have to go back in time to before you played on that server. When you connect, server checks all commits are signed by trusted servers. Rolls back to the last commit where all previous commits are signed. I'm sort of making the assumption that the server worlds are sort of independent of each other. Maybe they have some mechanism to connect to each other, but it's sort of like playing Terraria.
Present.
To be Vampire the Mask. What's the one where they're really fucked up and they live in the sewers? One of the MUDs that seemed promising when I was investigating MUDs really heavy at the start of COVID, because I was in an era where I was like, I need to play some kind of MMO. Like, eventually I settled on playing largely Final Fantasy XIV and some other browser games. There was a game that I remember, it was running on like a relatively new Python-based MUD or mush engine. I don't know what the game was. I'll have to find it. So a MUD, if you're not aware, multi-user dungeon. Sort of like interactive fiction, aka text adventure, but multiplayer. Traditionally, these are played directly over a TCP connection. Literally, you connect with Telnet over to some TCP port, and the game sends you text, and you send text back, and that's how you interact with the game. And originally MMOs were often called graphical MUD. The original RuneScape was basically like a MUD with some basic graphics, right? As a person with opinions on MMOs, many of the popular MUDs, from what I can tell, parentheses, are primarily RP focused with minimal game systems, glorified chat room. And the glorification is not in a bad way. I feel like to a large degree, social media has siphoned off a certain portion of MMO players because the appeal that they would get from an MMO is now being taken up by something like TikTok. This is maybe another conversation, but like, do we know Bartle type? This is, wow, this is so MUDs. This is literally so MUDs. Bartle type is MUD thing too. We're getting, oh man, this was like some kind of categorization of players in online games. And I feel like to some extent, TikTok provides all of these elements. TikTok provides appeal for achiever types in that you can watch number go up. Achiever wants number to go up and other people to see number going up. Explorers, this is doom scroll. Explorers have literally the worst fate of all MMO players because they've been put into doom scroll hell on TikTok. Socializers, this is sort of self-evident. Social is in the name. You can click hearts. There's all kinds of stuff. But then killers is sort of the zone that is not, I feel, served as much. I mean, I feel like killers are sort of served by TikTok unintentionally. Anyway, MUDs are not good. The MUDs that have gameplay barely hack and slash from what I've seen because it's not turn-based. It's difficult to be good because it's not turn-based. As everyone knows, all games that are good are turn-based. Quake is turn-based. Each turn takes 1/90th of a second. This sort of game, I feel like, would really strongly benefit from being turn-based. Perhaps that's the better way to say this. Lack of mouse skills, CBH? Yes. There's a great deal of reflex gameplay in MUDs, being able to type your response fast or like having the right macros set up to type the thing fast for you. Also, it is difficult to do turn-based MMO. How close is WoW's combat to being turn-based? In terms of the actual actual back and forth fighting, like the actual buttons you're pressing are pretty turn-based. It's more of a rhythm game than anything, but the actual fights are not turn-based at all. The most engaging thing in the combat in MMOs like WoW typically is the movement, and that is pretty far from turn-based. So combat would be like you find a monster and like make a new room for that combat and make it a turn-based type thing. I don't even know if the standard conception of rooms is worth preserving. This is the thing I've thought about a whole bunch. The games that I ended up playing when I was looking for MUDs, the games that seemed like they had the best gameplay, I would call them in a genre of something called like a rest MUD. Let's say HTTP MUD instead. Games in this genre, like Kingdom of Loathing is sort of like this a little bit, more HTTP IF, or like Fallen London. They don't have that MUD element because there's not really any sense of like being in the same location as another person. They're more like interactive fiction with time-gated resource systems and player interaction. It's more like text adventure with an auction house and chat rooms. Let's say grid-based. There's a genre of grid-based browser games. Something like Urban Dead is a classic in this genre, or Nexus War. It kind of gets closer to that MUD-like thing. There's like a grid you're navigating on. It's not like a meter or something that it would be in like a roguelike. It's like a more abstracted location, and you're going from location to location. You can see other people in the same location, or maybe monsters, and you can fight them, right? This sort of thing. And the defining thing about a lot of these games is they rely on resource systems. Have you played Sunless Skies? I have not played Sunless Skies or Sunless Seas or Fallen London, but I know I would like all of them. The thing that keeps me from playing these games is I don't want to interact with these resource systems. I want to spend a weekend, I want to binge all of the writing in the game. But of course, that kind of detracts from the experience also because I'm kind of a grinding believer. I think like having to wait a week to get something, I feel like that sometimes adds to the experience a little bit. I like that a lot about WoW. Like, you don't get your gear instantly. You have to like think about what you're building towards over the course of like a few months. That is kind of nice. So they rely on resource systems to gauge progress / introduce a pseudo turn-based element. I guess the thing that I'm implying is like the core distinguishing feature of MUD versus MMO is the limitation of the medium. Player interaction is done through text. It can be a MUD, I think, if you have some kind of mouse interaction, but there's like a limitation on the mode of interaction is what defines a MUD. It's discrete interactions. It's do this and then do this and then do this. Compare that to something like Half-Life. You're constantly making small, continuous interactions with the world. It's more of a fluid moving around the world, interacting with things, moving my camera around, seeing things, picking up and moving objects, that kind of thing. Fully turn-based asynchronous is that. In fact, I would say, Bone Nut, the thing that makes me feel like MUDs are bad is the mismatch between the fact that the interaction pattern is focused on discrete interactions, but they often have strong real-time elements because they're not turn-based. I feel like this mismatch makes the thing much harder to get into. If I have to do something fast, things that have continuous motion or continuous gameplay are better suited for real-time modes of interaction, I guess. Make the ticks slower but allow queuing up attacks. Yeah, that sort of thing we're thinking about here. RuneScape is probably the closest there is to a turn-based MMO, right? Because it's based around like a relatively slow server tick. I feel like the mismatch makes MUD hard. I like to help code this. Okay, please don't use eLisp for some weird esoteric scheme. Okay, Lisp is fun though. We could use like normal scheme. Guy will be, okay, cool. How about Prolog? Prolog kind of scares me a little bit. I'm not very good at Prolog. Prolog is one of those things that I really need to lock in for. Prolog is a different language. Yes, like logic programming is like really a whole different thing. How do you make an MM game turn-based? Well, global turn timer. This sucks. Having something that's like, okay, there's a turn happening, you get to make one move every 10 seconds globally. And this still doesn't solve the problem because it has to be every 10 seconds you submit local turn bases per interaction between. And the problem is, Failure, or say you're fighting with somebody. It creates weird situations where like, if you're doing PvP and it's only locally turn-based, your opponent could stall on their turn. Maybe you still have a timer, but they can like stall out their turns to give like the people who are not involved in the turn-based interaction more time to like run over and have their posse come and join the, I don't know. I'm not really a programmer. I'm more of a programming influencer, a progfluencer for short. That feels so bad. That feels so bad. More of a guru, maybe a ninja. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a software ninja. Oh my God. Remember that whole... Holy shit. A software samurai. Yeah. I'm more of a software pirate. There was that internet thing for a while too, like pirates versus ninjas. Do you want to know the secret? I was working on a game before I streamed. I was making this Haskell thing called Muck. Obviously MUD inspired. The pending name was Muck. I was already doing ideal MUD based things. I was settling on the third system here, which is involved resource system. I think this is the one that interests me the most. And also the new one LG raised that I had not even thought about. Souls-like asynchronous multiplayer. We've talked about Dark Souls multiple times already. We've talked, yes, you got bingo. Congratulations. There are many clones of these games. They keep cloning souls. Everyone keeps putting stamina bar in their game. Everyone keeps putting bonfire in their game. No one has actually been cloning the most interesting parts of the game. The real interesting and weird shit from Dark Souls and Demon Souls is like the multiplayer stuff. And nobody does that. Literally only Hideo Kojima has tried to innovate on the Strand type genre. If you don't know, Dark Souls does some really crazy stuff. But the actual gameplay elements are messages that players can leave on the ground. Just in single player, people can leave messages. You post finger butthole, you post large chest ahead. Like thinking of the obvious Dark Souls stuff. You can have single player. Yes, world's tendency. If this boss has died 1,000 times in a week, it gets upgraded to the stronger boss. Kingdom of Loathing has similar stuff. It also has bloodstains on the ground where other players died. You can interact to view their last moments. These are really cool fucking things. It also has occasional ghosts of other players that appear moving through the world. When you're near a checkpoint a lot of the time, you can see another player who's also at that checkpoint at the same time. There are also players can place down help signs that might appear in your world. You can interact to summon them and play co-op. This is where it starts to get kind of crazy, because before this it's just purely asynchronous things, but they relate the asynchronous multiplayer to the synchronous multiplayer. You can suddenly go into like a real coordinated multiplayer zone. And also the final thing that I think literally no other game does, this is the most underrated Dark Souls feature that I think actually is one of the peak reasons why the game is good. I'm not aware of any other game, I'm sure there are some, but I am not aware of any other game, any of the clones that do this. You can use an usually limited / rare at first item to invade another random player and become an enemy in their single player game. We're all familiar with this now because it's become such a thing. These games are so prevalent, they're so popular, like everyone has played them. But like, this is a freak mechanic. Like think about, like, this is a freak game mechanic. Yeah, it's optional also. Yeah, you can block them off. But the original thing, LG, the original balance was you could only do one if you could do the other. You could summon, you could do co-op, but by doing co-op, that's what opens you up to the risk. There's no real need for balance in a single player game, but it naturally adds this cool risk reward element where it's like, I need help with this, but if I ask for help with this, so there's risk. There's risk that cannot be designed around. I could bring an enemy into my game that is an intelligent other human being. Yeah, Demon Souls. Demon Souls really is the peak of all of this stuff, LG, because Demon Souls has even further freak mechanics. I think honestly Demon Souls is like the truest realization. You can just read your mind. Of course, the Colonq heads were in tune. This stuff, I think some games have done the messages and the bloodstains maybe. I think Neo might have this, but like this shit is deeply strange. In MMO like this, a MUD like this, let's think of what a Souls like MUD. Hello TDV style, Souls style MUD. Let's consider what that looks like. Normally turn-based single player roguelike style. You're walking around. Let's say also resource style text MMO. I've played a lot of games like this and I feel like they work better than the free-for-all, because by having a resource, this basically means instead of having a turn timer or fully synchronous turns, you have a pool of resources like action points. This still can be kinda weird. These games are often action point based. The grid-based text games that are very PvP heavy, something I've observed quite a lot is that they quickly go into a mode where anything that doesn't cost the action points becomes extremely powerful. And the things in particular that are extremely powerful are gathering information. So say you have a game where it's PvP. They're fighting. You're going fighting style, right? You're all pretending to be fighting men on the web, right? You're fighting each other. You know, you understand. So imagine a game where it's PvP. Moving costs 1 point. Attacking costs 1 point. You can always see the contents of the cell you are on. Other player, NPC, items, etc. So what's the problem here? How does this break? PvP turns into a who clicks faster contest if both people are alive. As we've said, this is kind of weird when you have discrete moves. I don't want my victory or defeat based on who can send more discrete commands over the connection in shorter interval. Yeah, move closer to the server to win game. Exactly. Another thing that encourages an extremely weird gameplay mode. Say your goal is to kill other players on the map, and you can see them if you're on the same cell. It encourages spamming the thing that doesn't cost resources. That thing is refresh the page to view contents of current cell, right? This is, well, we pressed Q tab by accident, it's over. This is one that I think people don't don't think about when designing these things. Information has value in any game. Knowing things gives you value. And in a lot of these games, knowing things is free. So I've observed personally, a lot of these games like kind of degenerate into spam refresh fest. And it also encourages botting. Even though botting can usually be fine in a world where everything has a resource cost, like Kingdom of Loathing doesn't have this PvP element as much. So like botting is totally fine. What's the benefit to spamming refresh? So you can know if anyone is on your tile. Since you can always see the contents of the cell you're on, instead of just spending your turns and being done with it, it behooves you to sit there all day spamming refresh, which is an action that costs no resources. So you could potentially use your points more efficiently. Say the goal of the game is to kill other players. If you could, you would use all of your points attacking. You never want to move. You might have to move to find other players so that you can attack them. This creates a situation where it's beneficial to always just sit in one spot, spam refresh to see if other people come along, and then spend your points to attack them. Like observing the game world is an action you can take that benefits you that is free. Zero cost action should not exist at all. Yeah, exactly. I think there should be nothing you can do that affects the world or importantly gives you information about the world. It doesn't cost resources. Let's consider this instead. Let's just imagine it as a roguelike. It's easy to think about it as a roguelike. There's some game environment, there's some top-down view, you're moving an avatar around, you do things, the enemies respond to them. It's turns. Connected to a coordination server that allows for player messages / other async interactions. This is cool. Imagine a roguelike where you can write things on the ground and then other people can see them sometimes. This is actually something that is not super alien. Work as a turn-based strategy game with emails and random RTS elements in meetings. That's a scary ass meeting. There's sometimes creep in meetings too, like Zerg creep, when your boss is in Ultralisks and calls off a quick meeting. Nethack does this kind of thing. So in Nethack, when you die, basically it saves a file that's the actual level that you died on, including the state of the monster, your gear and items and stuff. And then other people have a chance to encounter that if they play on the same server. Noita also has bones. Yeah. So Nethack already has some of these async multiplayer elements. It also has the whole mail thing, which is like a whole other fucked up endeavor. Hello? Welcome. I was spooked for a second. MaudeColonq, can we actually do a special edition? I need to get water and use the restroom and stuff. Will you come over here and read this file? I'll get you water also. You read this file.
There are people out in the gym.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go out there totally nude.
Yeah, oiled up as you do. Scoot around on your stool.
Goodbye.
Hello, hi, I'm MaudeColonq. Hello, hi. I've been given a task. I will read. Now that there's something that I have to do, I get really nervous. Like before when Colonq was trying to make the video and I was supposed to do the little intro thing, I like could not do it for a minute. Okay. Okay. I don't know, should I do a funny voice? Should I do a normal voice? Why is his desk wet? He must have spilled his water. He did. He literally did. He's not sweating. He does not sweat. It's a problem. Okay, I think he's coming back. I need to go. Okay. Federated MMO. Characters. Yeah, I was yapping. Whoopsie. Also, you spilled water on your desk. It's all wet. You're putting it over there? Did you get it from the yucky sink? Woo! Colonqy, you finally a woman.
You gotta make sure you're using the good sink.
Federated MMO. Character state is saved in Git or Git-like thing, IDK. When you connect to server, I'm being pushed out of the chair.
You're being gently nudged. You're being nudged. We want the grill back. I'm sorry. We got 2 lines in. That's good.
I talked about how you're not sweaty.
I'm not sweaty.
I found that the desk was wet.
And people blamed it on my sweat. I don't sweat.
And I said it wasn't sweat.
I would die if we were ever in wet bulb temperature. I think everyone would though, right? Isn't that a thing? Wet bulb?
Wait, yeah, I wanted to see what it
one?
was. I didn't get to see it. It got linked.
A link to LG 7TV? Is this dog?
It's a dog.
It's dog again. It's fucking dog again. You're trying to get me to add dog. New link. New link. What is? It's bug segs. This one's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. This one's allowed. Yeah. We're gonna add bug segs.
Should we do every other word?
Character.
State.
Is.
Saved.
In.
Get.
Or.
Get.
Like.
Thing.
IDK.
When.
You.
Connect.
To.
Server.
The.
Server.
Gets.
Your.
Repo.
When.
You.
Disconnect.
From.
Server.
Server.
Sends.
You.
Gives.
You.
Whatever.
A.
Commit. That. Oh no!
We can't do it. We're not coordinated. Okay, it's over. Yeah, we would never be able to do that one Evangelion episode. You know that one Evangelion episode where Shinji and Asuka have to be synchronized in order to defeat the one that splits in half? Yeah. Yeah, oh, you know. No, I'm a normie too. I don't watch anime at all. I see anime and I go, yuck. So the idea is an MMO game jam. That's the idea. Has that piqued your interest much? I'm tilting my head, but you can't tell because I'm doing a shaft head tilt. MMO in the, yeah, it's kind of like buying land in the Fediverse. LCOLONQ 21, but that is someone else. Hello, Pure Corn. I don't know.
What?
I don't know. What, huh? Flamebird Phoenix. Wait.
Did some fan music?
Wait, what the heck?
Wait.
Yo, wait, this is actually really... Thank you. Okay, back, rewinding the stack many levels. We were talking about MUDs, where we... No proc gen. I kind of like that. I'm kind of fond of that. I feel like roguelike style games that kind of look like Rogue, games that have this doing the top-down dungeon crawler look, I feel like it hasn't been explored very much to make this sort of game that isn't procedurally generated. Like, what if you had one of these that had good level design? Or like human level design, at least. Like Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup has sections of pre-generated level. And Nethack has a few of these. Risk of Rain maps are human-made as far... Yes, in roguelites, it's very common to have non-proc gen maps, I think. But just in like the world of traditional text-based, mud-ish, adjacent, there's a lot of mixing. But what if you had a game that was all pre-generated? It's just a world that we made beforehand, and we put interesting stuff in it. I think you would want that for multiplayer, for sure. And maybe you have like some level of this proc gen zone you can go into. You have Bloodborne Chalice Dungeons. Kraz has this. And what if you had invasions? The thing that would make this an MMO, actually, is doing invasions co-op. Probably you do it in a small lobby. You go into a true turn-based mode. No need for fancy MMO systems. I wonder if we could combine this with the MMO Jam. Is that possible to combine? Because the MMO Jam could go in many ways. There are a lot of ways this could be done. The level of specificity of the save files is a big question. What actually is in that save file? If we were to do a jam, we could say that the save file, what if we put the items on the blockchain? Bugsec. This would be like the baseline equipment, but this enables really boring equipment. I kind of want there to be hooks. If you can put executable code just in values, you can just throw code in arbitrary tags and have like server-specific things that happen there. But what if items also have code that should run when item equipped, code that should run when item unequipped, pick up, drop, destroy? Yeah, this is maybe a decent set of thing. The idea is this is just the save file format that is managed in this trust-based way with signed commits, Git style. And then I can log my character onto my server. I can use the item and it invokes our little script, and then I can log on with my same character to ProdZPod server, and potentially it will behave the same way. We're implementing how Ragnarok Online... Does Ragnarok Online have executable code in its save files? That sounds extremely scary, if so. In its database. Oh god, that's kind of scary. But you want to hear a funny thing also? FFXIV checks your gender 5 times every time you jump. For like... I mean, I don't, it's fucked up if it consults the database that many times. I assume it's just local, right? Which is not too bad. Oh, yes. That is even better. You have user-defined verbs. Map from strings, verb names to code that should be run when using that verb with item. Now you're just remaking yes, of course. Okay, sure. We'll go into it with the expectation that we will design a better thing. But in the process, we will probably design a worse thing, but we will at least learn many lessons. It's not a bad idea. I'm just being that guy. Well, it's good. It's good to be that guy. I think this is honestly most of the skeleton that is necessary. A similar thing for this for like status effects is also possibly relevant. I have another thing to confess. I have written this exact document before. When I was in college, one of my slightly longer-lived game dev side projects that I worked on for probably a good 6 months pretty actively was an in-browser 4X game, like a Civ clone. The idea basically was that you could describe the factions as data. And there was a whole notion of unit templates and inheritance for unit. It was a little over-designed. It also had this executable code in the data thing. That was the precursor to Bless, actually. I'll have to dig this code up at some point and anonymize it so it doesn't literally reveal my zip code, and then see if I can play with it. Because it had a UI. And it had all the auth shit. You could make an account and log in and connect to the game, join a game someone else made, see a hex grid with units on it, select units, make them take actions that were defined in a map from things, you know. There was a whole thing. I don't know, but this is kind of interesting. This, I think, gives enough structure. The question is, what does the code look like? It could be, Lua is probably the first order obvious choice in that it is very easy to embed and it runs fucking everywhere. Lua, Wasm, literally just JS. This thing kind of fucking rocks. Another Fabrice Bellard project. If you need a scripting language for a game. It supports relatively modern JavaScript, passes all kinds of tests, extremely easy to link into your project, is pretty fast. Like, it's not like V8 fast. In general, a pretty nice thing to use. Guile is also made to be pretty easy to embed. I've done this before. It's not bad at all. Guile also has the advantage of being a nicer language than Lua. Python will also be good for this. Yeah, potentially. Some kind of fucked up fourth thing. This is what I would do if it was just me writing these. I would force everyone else to do this. This is the pipe dream never being created option. I would spend so much more time making the fucked up fourth thing or porting the fucked up fourth thing. RISC-V with librisk-v xd. This would be horrible. It'd be fucked. I think the good options are probably these. A higher level language is actually going to be more performant, I think, in this case. These are scripts that are going to be run rarely, like they're not on the hot path. So the performance gain you get is actually outweighed by the fact that you have to actually fucking send these things and like fucking parse them and stuff. The equivalent Guile program is going to be way shorter than the equivalent Wasm program. Do we want cool or do we want to ship? CEO LG has entered the chat. Well, we always want cool, but I'm slowly starting to realize in my life that sometimes shipping is cool. The problem is I don't love Lua. Fennel's good. I don't know. Fennel doesn't scratch the itch. It doesn't have the itch. It just feels like writing Lua. Actually, for a time, I had a side project trying to make a Lua type system, like a gradual types thing for Lua. There's one for Ruby already called Sorbet. It's kind of cool. Yeah, this is a cool thing. If you're a TypeScript fan and you're a Ruby head, you can hop on Sorbet. Lua's probably the correct thing to do. We'll make uncontroversial choices. We'll do Lua. Lua VM running in JavaScript using mscripton. That looks promising. Has it been updated? It's been updated 49 minutes ago, actually, by Renovate Bot. This looks actually not horrible to do. Okay, it's fine. Lua's everywhere. Is using that hoot thing an actual bad idea? That sounds exactly what you... Oh, the Sprightly Institute thing? I haven't looked into it that much. Can we actually see what it is? Distributed Object Programming Environment. Intuitive secure... Okay, can we read this out? This is a whole ass thing here. We have a whole security model here. The other thing about this is it might be very big. It might be more clever and do more things than we want it to do. This is like a full ass distributed system. Basically, we just want Merkle tree. Is this how you spell this? Is it Merkle LE or is it EL? Yeah, it's LE. Okay. This is also what Bitcoin is. It's what Git is too. It's closer to Git than it is to Bitcoin, but this is what they are. A Merkle tree, every node basically contains a hash of its children. Here specifically, every leaf node has a hash of some data, and every non-leaf node has a hash of its two children. And what this means is a hash uniquely identifies everything underneath it. Make this DHT/, that's the BitTorrent thing. I don't think we need that. I think we literally just need a list of state updates. I don't think we need anything fancy. Perhaps I'm wrong though. And I also don't know enough about it yet. Every state is signed by the server that produced it. Will you bypass other servers whitelist? Oh, yes, you can. That is an issue, actually, Failure. The assumption we're making is the transitivity of trust. Yeah, it can include a list of the servers that have been yeah. Does this do what we want it to do? I think it probably does. The reason why it contains a hash of the previous state is, consider this example. If I went on a server and I got a rare item drop, I could just copy that rare item drop to my friend's character by just chucking the commit into their file. Of course, a server could check like, hey, this doesn't make sense. This character has different stats. You don't want that. Instead, we just have a hash of the previous state such that we can always track back the history in a way that cannot be modified easily without breaking SHA-256. This is the idea. This is all it is. Each commit contains character state objects described above and a SHA-256 hash of the previous commit, and also a signature of the character state object and hash. What prevents you from sending a friend a copy of your whole account? Nothing. Your friend can play on the server in the same way that you can. You can't play at the same time without merging the things back together. You both sell your mega axe unless items are... Yo, yeah. Okay, so item duplication, that's a relevant concern. I don't know if there's a way to like prevent that. Like if we want to avoid item duplication, this is literally Bitcoin also. The thing is we're literally reinventing Bitcoin because the core difference between this and Bitcoin is solving the double spend problem, which is slightly different from this, but fundamentally is the same thing as the sell the mega axe twice problem. Can we go ace spray? Are we going pirate style here? Can be a little bit piratical. What is this? There's server orange. Orange gives you a commit plus gold circle. If you take that commit to server red and server blue, you go to server blue over here and you go to server red over here. You take it independently to both of them and then send the gold to someone else. And we do minus gold here. We take a minus gold interaction, we take a minus gold interaction to send to another character. And then the other person walks over to this server. Ooh, I get my gold. Ooh, I get my gold. There's no way to detect that looking at an individual log. I go onto server red and I send all of that gold to Mr. Green over here, to green character. Now I don't have the gold anymore and green character has all of the gold. I then delete that commit from my history. So my commit history looks exactly exactly like it did before I logged onto this server. And I don't know if there's a way to avoid being able to do that. And then I log onto server blue and I send all my money again to Mr. Green. Server blue can't tell that I logged into server red first or that I deleted the commit. So it still gleefully lets me give all my gold to Mr. Green. So that's like the thing we're trying to do. And I don't really want to invent literal Bitcoin. We want other things. Okay, maybe there's just a central ledger. Maybe you have to trust me. We're writing a literal. Okay, we're doing it in a cool way. We're not doing it in a lame shit way. We're coming up with our, this is cool, right? I didn't turn into a crypto bro. This is cool. The only thing it excludes is peer-to-peer trading, which personally I think is a big part of MMOs. I also think peer-to-peer trading is a big part of MMOs. I think it's actually almost like the whole thing. What if you didn't just make this federated to make? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make a good game. I want to be able to make half of a game and then have other people also make half of a game, and then eventually we combine 5 of them and we have 2.5 of a game. Disincentivize copying items. How do we even detect that you're copying items at all? How do we tell a real thing from a perfect fake? This is truly a Monogatari moment. How do we do it? How do we not allow you to sell weed the Colonq? This is the Colonq chain. This save file format is the Colonq chain. We don't need any sort of anything else. Items can only be traded on its source server, but just unique. So, I mean, we could track it then because you just give items a UUID and then you just NFT-based marketplace on a website, make that part central. God, no, we're reinventing crypto. We have to stop. We have to, okay, we need to not. How do we think our way out of this one, gamers? So solutions are, we just make it so items have no value. We call this the inverse crypto. This is nega crypto. Solution, no items. Lost already, classic. Yeah, there is an obvious solution, Zully3, but it is literally unironically written down in the Bitcoin white paper. This is literally the only problem that Bitcoin actually solves. Like this exact problem, the double spend, a unit of value can be spent more than once. Literally selling the mega axe to the NPC twice. Using proof of work to create like a distributed ledger thing where like this could fix us. We've spent 6 hours re-implementing crypto in an org file this stream. This is such a Colonq moment. Okay, why don't we just make that part centralized? Let's just make that part centralized. Okay, we're cheating. We're declaring victory. We're cheating. We're giving up on... Okay, when you sell an item, the server it came from must be online and respond to a query. I really don't want to have a direct server-to-server communication, I think. We could definitely do it that way. It'll complicate things a whole fucking lot. I already bought 1K Git miners. Ugh, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. We have better solutions. All servers must trust centralized ledger. The ledger maps item UUIDs to character UUIDs. It's simple. It's basically a big fucking hash table. You had the solution 2 hours. You did have the solution 2 hours. I was wrong. Fuck. We can still do this though. Items from offline servers can just become untradables. Yeah, but I kind of want them to be tradable. It's kind of cool if there's a rare item from a dead server and you can still trade it around and it's like worth a lot. Or we're going full... No, we're not going full crypto. We're not going full crypto. We're not going full crypto. I will never go full crypto. I hate money. I hate money more than anything. Your items will... Fuck. Fuck. Jesus Christ. I only love real wealth, like having beautiful estates and orchards and stuff, and like ponds full of ducks and paintings and shit. I care about paintings. And I also like not having to coordinate that with so many servers. Because remember, the more we put on the reference server that they have to do, the more people doing the jam have to implement. What about land? Well, I mean, land only has real value if it's sovereign land. I'm literally ruining my reputation by reinventing cryptocurrency. It's fucking over for us. Hello, Settlix. How is it? No, well, we're trying to make an MMO, and it turns out there are economic problems. What a time to rate. Well, hello, Annie Cater. Also, where have you let us? I promise, I'm not a crypto freak. I'm LCOLONQ. Greetings. I don't love money. I only love computers and Colonq. If you name things in a boring way, the pain goes away. Yeah, exactly. It's called a distributed ledger. It's called Git. It's not called blockchain. It's called Git. I promise. It's Git. Validation works by checking signatures on all commits and also looking up item UUIDs for inventory on latest commits to check that they belong to character. The problem with the ledger is we need to have some way to have a trusted transaction. Failure, your system is literally better because the problem with this is how do you actually do transactions on here? Then the ledger has to trust servers, and that kind of sucks. And I don't know about that. You'd have to sign the transactions and have to have items. Oh, it's such a mess then. It's such a fucking mess. Do we just not have tradable items? But like tradable items, that's like the big appeal to MMO. Is this just the... No, it's not the metaverse. It's not the metaverse. It's the LCOLONQ game jam. It's the game jam. What if we... Okay, actually, scratch all of this. Forget all of this. Different idea. If we take away the ability for the player to control the history of their character, all is solved, maybe. Basically, the thing we're trying to avoid is having to have some centralized list of all servers that I maintain. It's cooler if people instead can trust their friends and it forms a big ring. I don't want there to be a centralized source of these are the good servers. What if we instead just limit your ability to rollback by just making rollback non-optional? So there's a centralized server that maps character UUIDs to commit history histories. I don't know why I made a separate file for this. Let's put it over here. Scratch all that. :3. Basically, what we're going to do is instead of having you have a file that is your save, what if that lived on some centralized server? Game servers send commits to that centralized. And also, is this much better than just like having a server that doesn't do all of this crypto bullshit? Crypto meaning cryptography. Again, if we have a centralized server that maintains all these records anyway, why don't you just have to trust the server to do anything? Yeah, just have a player server, right? Just have a thing that has all the player stats and you just query them and update them. This is basically the same exact thing as before, except now instead of being controlled by players, you have a canonical history. Centralized server rejects commits that do not point to latest commits or character. This prevents forking. If server B's commit is rejected, it needs to be able to totally undo everything that happened, including interactions with the game world, including the money arriving on character B's inbox, for example, which adds a lot of additional pressure to server B. Game server also maps character UUIDs to server IDs, and this can also be queried. This probably solves the thing, actually, because this makes it so the game server knows that you logged in, and then server B just won't let you log in. And if server B does let you log in and cheat and send stuff to Mr. Green, other servers can just be like, hey, don't do that. We don't trust you anymore. I don't think you can do the Mr. Green thing now. Single login will probably, yeah, basically we have a login coordination server now. You can still have multiple servers that don't trust each other, I think. I guess maybe this breaks that, though. The whole point of rollback is to be able to avoid commits from untrusted servers. Maybe we do need to maintain a whole tree of characters. It's kind of difficult. We want rollback, but we also don't want rollback. And I'm still not convinced that maybe this is just a game design thing. Maybe you just can't have an economy. Maybe you can't have an economy in a world where items can be duplicated for free at any time. And I'm not convinced that's not the right option yet. I'm gonna get up. I need to get water. I've been yapping too much. Hear me out. Instead of quantifying value with a number that can be increased or decreased, value is rarity. If any player can clone any item at any time, what is valuable? It's an item that only one person has is what's valuable. A uniquely powerful item that you don't have yet and such that you can't clone. Here is the essence of the thing. Anything you have has zero scarcity. I'm saying Lua, I'm sorry. Whenever I say Lua or a word that contains Lua, it puts the Brazilian flag on the screen. Anything you have or any of your friends have or anyone who's willing to give things away has zero value. Anything that you don't have has value. The first copy of anything has value. Subsequent copies have no value. You know what this comes back to? Diablo 2. Diablo 2 has a system called gambling. And what gambling is it allows you to trade money for novelty. You spend money and you get a random item. And that random item most of the time is going to be shit, but some of that time it's going to be a powerful and unique item. We've gone from crypto to gacha. Yes, indeed. You get items with random stat, random effects, random rolls, and then the items still have value, but the value of the trade is not giving away the item and losing it, because you can never lose anything because you can always just roll back your account before the trade happens. The value is novelty, and this also discourages rollbacks because it makes it so that if you're doing a trade, you don't want to roll back, you don't want to lose the thing you got in the trade. The value is novelty. Why would you trade? To get something you don't have already. Of course, you might ask, why wouldn't the other person just give it away for free? Because there's a time cost to trading. Trading costs your time. There are some things that are inherently scarce, such as the time of the player. So if we make trading irritating, if we make trading take a long time, be obnoxious to do and take a bunch of literal... Wait, we invented proof of work. We invented proof of work. Oh no, oh dear. Say I get a random drop. This is a random drop that no one else has gotten, and someone else might want this item. I can duplicate it as many times as I want, so I'm just giving away a copy. They can't duplicate it until they have it. And the reason why you would give away a copy is maybe you want a copy of something that someone else has. And I think this still is an appropriate level of economy. Ignore all that bullshit. Ignore all that bullshit. We flow like water. Make copying items part of the game. It's one right click away. At any time, you can click any item you have and produce a clone of it for free. We've literally solved the NFT issue by right-clicking. We've solved NFTs by right-clicking to save them. However, if you have 0 of a given item, it still has value to you. So the fundamental thing this is exploiting is that things don't have objective value. They have subjective value to individuals. A trade has positive value for both parties. Like it's Path of Exile, but everyone has infinite mirrors. This has a lot of implication. You can't sell items to NPCs. Like there's nothing you can do with the extra clones other than deleting them or using them or giving them to others. Let it be a game design problem rather than a technical problem. This is the solution here. We're turning a social problem into a technical problem with the server trust thing, and we're going to turn a technical problem into a game design problem with the duplication thing. Thank you very much. We also need to do newspaper, publish. Anyway, if you like this, if you're like, who is this weird little freak, man, you can go here. That's where you can learn more about what this is. What's the raid sketch for today? LCOLONQ 21 is live. CV. Wait, what? Cloning facility? Wait, clone? Wait, IDK? Wait, you did the thing? Wait, what the fuck? So, one thing I've been considering doing, fake chatters. We're gonna call this redeem cloning facility. You are actually corporate Taimisi. The thing that signifies that it's a good microscope is the price of the microscope. I don't know what to tell you. I hate computers so much.